Now you probably clicked on this video because you're trying to figure out, how do I not make mistakes in real estate? Have you ever done something new and not made a mistake? Yeah, me either. You're going to make mistakes. But in this video, I'm going to explain the things that I've done and the stories that I've been told by other investors to make sure that those mistakes are limited and they don't cause you huge harm down the way. And you can learn from the mistakes that you do make because you're going to make them. My name is Darson Grantham, and I'm a real estate agent and an investor at Keller Williams in Des Moines, Iowa. And I've been investing for 4 years, and I've been helping buyers buy investment properties, sellers sell investment properties for the last year and a half. I personally have been buying for 4 years. So I've been in it, I do it. I continually talk to hundreds of investors every month on what it looks like to invest in Des Moines, Iowa versus Chicago versus Kansas City versus Denver versus California, all across the nation. Also, if you like this content, I would love it if you subscribed. Click on that bell, click on the subscribe button so you're notified when new videos are posted. I'm posting 1 to 2 a week, and they're going to be all around content about investing, real estate investing, philosophy, life, how to invest and be smart about your decisions, how to invest without regret, all of those things that investors, the mindset that investors need to have, all those things that investors think about. I have to go through them in this channel. Okay, so this video topic, how to invest in real estate without making mistakes. You got a unicorn in your pocket? You're just not gonna get around making mistakes. But what you can do is think about what can you do on the front end to limit those mistakes without being so conservative that you can't buy a property. There's an equilibrium there. You have to be a little aggressive. You're being an investor, you need to take some risk, but you can limit the downside of those risks depending on the questions you ask, the research you've done, due diligence you've done. So that's what I'm going to go through in this video. Every investor, every person, forget about even being an investor. Every person, their biggest fear is failure. Think about it. People looking at you, calling you a failure. People talking in front of people. They're afraid of people judging them and calling them a failure. Now, that it might not be your fear consciously, but I will guarantee that it is a part of your fear subconsciously. So you need to change your mindset. You need to shift it just a little bit so that fear is not in your realm. It's not the first thing that you think of when you look at real estate investing. You don't think fear, you think opportunity. So if you are scared, if you fear that failure of real estate investing, I'm going to go through this video and I'm going to show you what you need to do in order to alleviate that fear and just make it much less of a fearful thing to invest in real estate. My first topic is buying a property that doesn't fit your risk profile. Now, I would look at someone, and a risk profile is going to have different varying degrees, but a risk profile might mean someone that is handy, someone that can talk to contractors, knows what things cost to rehab a property, has that skill set. A person who is in a high-paying W-2 job, works 80 hours a week, and is looking to invest in something that they don't have to think about, that's a different skill set, right? They have the extra income. They have maybe a different kind of extra income for the property investment, and so that property needs to fit their skill set. The handyman guy who doesn't want to overpay someone putting in a sink because they know that they can do it for $150 an hour or $50 an hour, and someone else is charging them $150 an hour and takes 5 hours, like that's a different skill set. That person, now the high income earning W-2 person, like they want that skill set, but they have income producing at 60, 80 hours a week in a different realm, where this handyman person, they might not have that ability to earn wages in that skill set. So that's one skill set. Another skill set would be managing the tenants. So being able to talk to a tenant, being able to set systems in place. One of the mistakes I made, and I will fully admit it, is systematizing my property management. I self-manage my properties, and I know that there's not a good system set up for when repairs come in, for when turnover happens, for when leaky pipes happen. I have it somewhat systematized in my head, but that doesn't help a person doesn't help me outsource it to anybody, right? So, and I noticed that because I tried to have my assistant manage the properties, even local ones. I said, hey, like, take over these properties and manage them. Let me know what expenses come of it. And it was not a smooth process to transition those to her because I didn't put good processes in place. So if you're not a process systems oriented person, and like, I know how to do it, I know that it needs to be done, but I'm not good at doing it. And so that's where, I made a mistake, and I probably cost myself a couple hundred, maybe a couple $1,000s, because I didn't have those systems in place. And she did everything she could. She did fantastic. But what I didn't have was, I didn't have those processes, what I wanted to happen. I did not adequately share those with her. Aside from systems, when it comes to property management, is talking to tenants. Now, that's a skill that I actually do have. So alleviating tenant problems, putting out tenant fires, like, that's a skill set I know that I'm very good at. So if you are someone who hates confrontation, who hates someone to nag on them about the property, like, maybe talking to tenants is not the best skill set for what you're looking for. So when you own rental properties and you self-manage, that's a skill set that talking to tenants, alleviating their problems, taking care of them, even though, you may love people, but when someone complains, you get pissed right away. It might not be good for you to be a property manager. One of the other mistakes that I always commonly see for first time investors or someone that's just buying their first 3 properties, and again, I made this mistake too, is I didn't have a long-term goal or plan for what type of properties I wanted, right? So in my mind, I thought cash flow was king. Anything that cash flowed, I'd be happy with, which in reality, like, if I was trying to replace my job, that would have been fantastic. I want to replace my expenses with cash flow, and I get that, but I want to do it in a way that isn't on the cash flow only type properties, right? How about this? A better way to put that is, I want to be able to do that and put property management in at the beginning instead of myself self-managing it. So another thought is kind of on the other side of that is, if you have someone if you're an investor and you have money that you want to put in investment property, and you've been thinking cash flow, I need cash flow. Why do you need cash flow, right? Are you trying to replace your job tomorrow, in 3 months, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? I have heard time and time again, W-2 employee, loves their job, has tons of extra money, wants to start putting in investment properties, maxing out 401k, maxing out IRA, doing all the personal finance smart things. And then they get to real estate and they say, I can only buy cash flow. And I say, why? Well, you're supposed to get cash flow. I say, why? What is it? Like, tell me why. Well, Bigger Pockets says, don't get me wrong, love Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets says, I need cash flow. You shouldn't buy anything that doesn't cash flow. And I say, okay, how do you calculate that? And they tell me, use expenses, use repairs, vacancy, property management, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't cash flow more than $50 a month. And I say, well, do you need cash flow after that? Very, very conservative, because I'm talking like these numbers you're putting in there, very conservative. And you're getting a return on your money, but not in cash flow. Why? You're getting tax deductions, you're getting tax-free income, you're getting depreciation. So like, you're getting these things that aren't accounted for in your formula. So you are getting cash flow, but it's not going into your bank account. It's going into your equity account, right? So those are things to think about where are you at in your investing? Like, are you trying to replace your job today? Because you could buy a job that doesn't, or you could buy a property that doesn't cash flow today, but it cash flows in 5 years. And for the next 5 years, you're paying down debt, you're getting tax write-offs, you're learning about owning a property. And in 5 years, that's when you need to cash out, refinance, take that, buy another property. Do you need cash flow? Like, do you need it? if you like this content, below is a link to my monthly newsletter. Newsletters, like, they're old school. Like, they're things that marketers used to do in the past. But my newsletter is a little bit different. What it is a recap of the last week of all of the content that I've consumed, thoughts I've had, talking to investors about the economy, about the market, about life in general. So if you want to get that, it's probably 4 or 5 bullets every Friday. I send it out, click on the link, subscribe, and that way in your inbox you get that kind of my thoughts for the week and my resources for the week. The last mistake I'm going to add here is you're sitting on the sidelines. You aren't buying an investment property because you want too good of a deal. And I talk to investors all the time that fall into this category. You're probably watching this and you probably talk to me, and I probably beat around the bush of telling you, hey, you're looking for the unicorn, which is fine. If that is all you want to do, I understand. But one of my regrets is not buying more when I had the W-2 income to get loans on the properties. Because more you buy, when it comes to that, in 5 years you have appreciation, maybe, you have mortgage pay down, and you have a little bit of cash flow, right? Hopefully you didn't spend all your expenses. Or if you did, it'd be straight break even, you just have appreciation and mortgage pay down, right? So sitting in the sidelines is something that will kill you. Waiting for the next crash will kill you. And not financially, because you won't see a difference. You didn't lose anything. You just didn't gain the things that you could have, right? So that's something to think about, is when you're sitting on the sidelines, you feel like nothing went wrong. You didn't lose all your money. You didn't get into a lawsuit, but you didn't learn anything. You don't have any opportunity to increase your finances. So sitting on the sidelines, yes, it is a strategy. I've heard of it. But I think you need to do a better job of learning what the market is telling you and taking what the market is giving you, as opposed to wishing and hoping and crying that the market is like it was in 2012, 2015. I started investing in 2018. When I started investing, every single thing that I listened to, and it's funny because I'll go back and listen to podcasts, and I'll listen to 2018 podcasts, and it's basically the world is crashing, the real estate economy is crashing. Don't buy now, it's a terrible time to buy. Don't do it. When in reality, if I wouldn't have done that, I'd probably have $300,000-$400,000 in an increased equity right now because I bought in 2008-9 timeframe. Just is. So sitting on the sidelines, yes, it's a strategy. If you're, depending on what your goals are, if this is your first property, I'd say buy it, buy a base hit. Try it out. Don't sit on the sidelines. Do your due diligence. Do the right things. But don't just wait for that unicorn property. You'll be so mad at yourself. So I talked through kind of the management side of things. I talked through the sitting on the sidelines things, the not taking action. That's your sitting on the sidelines, not taking action. Talked about kind of the people skills, right? The people skills it's going to take to manage and buy a property. I kind of talked about the philosophy, the goals of purchasing a property, what you need to think about when you're purchasing that property, whether it's your first one or it's your 20th one, how you do it, where you're using the funds, what funds are you using, like that all comes into play. So when you're kind of trying to figure all that out, you need to think about like things that you need to kind of dig within yourself and figure out where your skill sets are. So one of the ways to figure out what your skill sets are is asking other people. Ask your coworkers, ask your friends, ask your family, and ask them to be incredibly blunt with you. What am I good at? But give them specific questions. Am I good at talking to people that are in a sticky situation? Do I walk away? Do I leave situations when there is confrontation, right? Like learn those things about yourself. Do I do well holding people accountable? That's, property management, contractors, like do I do well holding people accountable? I don't know. Do you? how does my finances look? Where we're at in the realm of financing is my personal finances. Do I sit really well? Do we have good reserves? Are we a little thin? So if we're a little thin on our reserves, we need to make sure that when we buy a property, it is a killer home run, no questions asked deal, right? That's personally where I'm at. My family and I are looking to buy an acreage, so I don't have a ton of money to buy an investment property. And so if it's a really good deal, I'll buy it. I'll find a way to finance it. But if it's not like a home run, no questions asked deal, I'm probably not going to buy it. That's just that's where we're at. That's where I'm at in my investing. Another kind of skill set that you need to have is your grit. Like, how hard are you really willing to work? Are you going to work your ass off? Are you staying up late to work? Are you getting up early to work on real estate investing, right? What about your W-2? Does your W-2 have you working 80 hours a week, right? If so, you may have grit, just not in real estate investing. And there's nothing wrong against that, as long as you know that you're spending your time in that W-2, and you need to, pay attention to that. And then just time commitment. Be realistic with yourself. I'm terrible at this. Terrible at time commitment. I think I can do 10,000 things in a week, and I end up doing 2. It's probably time commitment. It's probably time management skills. I need to get better at that. But just be realistic with yourself of what your ability is. And so time commitment might also go along with, like, I need a deal by 9:30, right? People that set deadlines on when they want a deal by is a little frustrating for me, because to me, you need to pick the property before, like, the return that you want, the criteria that you're using, before you say that I need a deal by 9:30 or by 10:20 or by January 1st, 2022, right? In my opinion, how I handle things is I want to know the return that I'm going for in the area that I'm going for and the finances. If I get all that narrowed down, that's a win. If 5 of those come on the market between now and January, I want to close 3 of them. That's measurable. That's reasonable. If I don't think 5 of them is going to come on the property, and I think like 1 will come on in the next 6 months, why do I need to pressure myself into hitting a goal by January 1? I don't know. I struggle with that. I don't think that is a smart way to invest in real estate. So kind of to wrap this up, mistakes in investing are inevitable. One of the things that I want you to do and you to focus on is, what are you good at? What are you going to hold yourself accountable to? Who can help you hold accountable to yourself? And what mistakes, what failures are going to come in investing? And what are you going to do on each one of those? So a good exercise would be to line item what each failure looks like. Go bankrupt. Always the one I think about. Can't feed the kids. Can't make car payments. Can't make mortgage payments. Can't pay off credit cards. All the failures that could happen when you invest. Can't get any tenants. Can't get a plumber out. Can't get an electrician out. So list out all of the failures that could come when you're investing in real estate. Can't get financing. Can't cash out refinance in 5 years. List out all those. And then by each of them, pick the worst case, best case, right? So if this doesn't happen, what are my options, right? And so that's kind of column 2. And then on your worst case, do that again. Okay, if worst case happens, what's going to happen to my life? It'll alleviate the idea that failure is possible. When you finish this project and you go buy your first real estate property, you're going to feel like, there is a failure option and there is a complete crazy success option. You're going to be right here every time. Promise. Just how it is. Again, my name is Darson Grantham. I'm a real estate agent and an investor with Keller Williams here in Des Moines, Iowa. And so if you're looking to invest in Des Moines, Iowa, whether you're looking for an agent, you have one, I don't care. If you already have an agent, it's totally fine. I still want to talk to you as an investor, because who knows, when you come up across a property that you don't like, you send my way, or vice versa. I don't have any investors that will do any of the deals that I have across my table. I can send it to you and maybe you'll find a property. So to me, networking within a local real estate market is one of the biggest things that makes success. So I want to talk to anyone that wants to invest in Des Moines, Iowa. I'd love to help out anyone. If you're an agent and you are looking to dig into investing, or you're looking to learn how you can arbitrage the investing world as a real estate agent, I think it's one of the most underrated things that is in the agent ecosystem to build wealth and make sure that you're kind of living your life by your choice, and you have the freedom to make those choices, whatever it is. If you like this content, below is a link to my monthly newsletter. Newsletters, like, they're old school. Like, they're things that marketers used to do in the past. But my newsletter is a little bit different. What it is a recap of the last week of all of the content that I've consumed, thoughts I've had, talking to investors about the economy, about the market, about life in general. So if you want to get that, it's probably 4 or 5 bullets every Friday. I send it out, click on the link, subscribe, and that way in your inbox you get that kind of my thoughts for the week and my resources for the week. That's the lifestyle that I'm growing and building and trying to share on this YouTube channel. So again, my name is Darson Grantham. Thank you, and until next time, peace out.